All right, welcome to the Matt Cast. I'm your host, Matt Chandler, along with my buddy here, Matt Williams.
Hello.
And we're doing something a little different for these next few episodes as we dive into what America is facing right now with all of just the unrest and the lack of unity that we're seeing. And so, what we want to do, we want to give some people a chance to share their heart, their stories without interruption. And really, for us, it's about humbling ourselves and being able to listen and gain a new perspective, or maybe just to get a refresher on a perspective we've already heard, but we really need to hear it again to understand what's happening. And so we got our friend here from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Alan Brown. Uh, yeah,
AKA Bully.
yeah, that's right.
Curious how that name came about. I do want you to squeeze that story in there at some point.
All right.
Yeah. Alan and I have been friends for quite some time. He's actually really good friends with my brother-in-law. So I guess as long as I've known Chris, I've known you in some form or fashion.
Very true.
Yeah, yeah. So that's cool. Uh, so basically, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your family, and about that incredible guitar collection you got behind
Uh, like I said, my name is Alan Brown. I am a YouTube personality named Bully the Kid. Get into that story in a second. Matt asked. Matt number 2 asked. I don't know how y'all do this, but this
you?
it's
Yeah,
awesome. Are you 1T or 2T, or y'all both 2Ts?
yeah. Two T's, you got red beard, you got brown beard. That's our pirate
Okay,
names.
that might be how I do it. That I like pirates. Okay,
I like that. Oh,
yeah,
brown beard.
We're not
brown.
raiders, but we're close to it.
Speaking my language, baby. Okay, listen. So, um, I'm a YouTube personality. I do bass reviews and I play grooves and that type of stuff. And by trade, I'm an engineer. And I moved to Tulsa for the only reason I couldn't find a job straight out of college. So I'm here now until God moves me back home. Home is Beaumont. Okay, so the name Bully the Kid came from uh, my one of my best friends. I'll have like 3 in this world. Chris is one of them. We were playing basketball as most best friends are made doing, and I play like a guard rather than playing like a center like I should, because I've had to play center all my life, and I shoot threes really well. Ask Chris, he'll tell you. Um, so I did a move, and because I'm large, I hit this person, crossed over, laid up. It's like, that's a foul. I stood my ground. This is street ball. Shut up. And then I ran down court. And then the problem with this is I'm 6'3", about 310 pounds at this point, and this person is 5'2",
Mm.
94 pounds at
Oh
this
my
point.
gosh.
Well, here's the thing. This is inertia, right? If a larger object acts upon a smaller object, right? You
That's
get
right.
Yeah,
it?
that's the engineer in him.
That's right.
I mean, I can't just be like, I'm big, you're small, move. No, I'm gonna come at this from a very physics standpoint so that you can understand that it's not me saying I'm bigger than you. Get out of my way. He's seen me just like I seen him. He decided he's not gonna run me over. He's not gonna do this at all. I then jumped up, knocked him 3 to 4 feet that way, and then came with a very sexy layup, I would like to say. Got those points, trotted down court as I would. He called foul. I then went to a level of anger that I had not reached that day. He's like, no, you're not going to do this to me, you big A bully. You know what? That's what I'm going to call you from now on, bully. Well, we lost that game because everybody on my team was trash except me. And they were picking up teams on the next one. So they were like, I got you, I got you. Hey, bully, come here. I got you, I got you. Who the hell is bully? You. Everybody like looked at me. My name is Alan. Alan? Bully. And it's stuck. And anytime I walked into the rec at McNeese State University, Bully. We ended up being in class together. And he's an engineer as well. His name is Charles Wallace. So whenever you watch this, you can look him up as my friend. He's literally your daughter's size. I'd walk down the campus next to him. They'd be like, there's Yogi and Boo Boo. That's exactly the visual I want you to get. Yes. So, yeah, I go to his house. He introduced me to all his friends as Bully. And then The Kid came from a spinoff of Billy the Kid. And then I'm black, so I put some flavor on it. The Kid
is
as
it
one word.
THA?
The Kid.
Okay.
I like it.
You got to be Googleable, man. You got to be Googleable.
That's your brand, man.
And I am Googleable.
That's right.
Yeah, just as long as you don't call me schizophrenic, it's all good.
It's awesome. Well, let's just jump right into the meat of this, man. Can you start by just sharing some experiences you've had as a black man in America from Beaumont to Tulsa that has given you a very uncomfortable, poor impression of people, white people, police officers, whatever is in the mix of all this right now. Tell us your experience of things that you've had to deal with, and share kind of what that has done for you personally and how you've navigated through that situation today.
Okay. So I say Beaumont that I'm from. I'm actually from a rural, I guess you call it a suburb of Beaumont. I'm from Sour Lake, Texas. If you don't know the idea about Sour Lake, Texas, it's pretty much like any town, because you can't call it a city, it's a town, has just got a Dollar General a few years back, has a Brookshire Brothers, which is the equivalent of a Market Basket or Reese's here, and two car dealerships, Sour Lake Motor Companies and a Chevy one that nobody goes to, and a Dairy Queen.
So a lot to do.
That's about it. Like I just ran. Yeah. I just went to the downtown area in my head, and there's a blinking light because there's no stop. It's you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You go, I go, you go. That's the busiest part of town right here. And then on either side of that blinking light are the two car dealerships. Boom, boom, right across the street from each other. Yeah. So, yeah, loads to do, man. It's a hustle and bustle type of place. So in that, I actually stayed on the backside of Sour Lake in a smaller sect, which is predominantly Black people. I don't know why this ended up being, but it's called Grayburg. It's not even on the map. Like, I think people we don't want to be Sour Lake. We're just going to call this Grayburg. I don't know why. I don't even really know how to spell it because I've never seen it on paper. It's either Graybird or Grayburg. Never seen it on paper, and people have really thick accents, so I didn't ask any questions. I just kind of say it fast and move on. So there's the Caucasian part of Sour Lake, and then there's the Black part of Sour Lake. Now, my first run-ins with police and knowing that I'm not normal from the normal when I went to elementary school was, I'm not going to call any names, but I remember her by name. She probably doesn't watch this, Leah Roethlisberger. So listen, this is what happened. She asked me if I took a bath, and I was like, Yeah, my mom makes me take baths all the time, and it's really stupid. And she's like, then why are you still dirty? That was in kindergarten.
Come on.
That was my first run in with something that's like, I'm different than you. Um, that's the first one that I could actually like bring out and say, this right here was like a what? So I told my mom, she was like, there's nothing wrong with you. And then she went into a room. I can only assume that she started crying and she made some phone calls. That's what I can assume. But I was playing basketball outside, cultivating the talent that is me. And a talk was had later on in the week about what happened and what that means, and basically the Sesame Street racism talk. Because I'm not gonna get it. I'm 5 years old, right?
Yeah.
And all I want to do is play. Like I want to play. I want to draw. I want to go to school. You know, they had the pizza. You remember the pizza, the square joint? You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then my aunt was the lunch lady, so I'm over here stacking the pizzas up, baby, with the
Oh,
chocolate
dude.
milk. Oh, I had the plug. I was on the inside. Oh yeah, it was great. So this is all I wanted to do. We can go forward a few more years, and uh, I think the next thing that actually stands out in my mind, um, again, I remember this face. I'm not gonna call him out because the city is very small. Uh, First name is Jeffrey though, so if you're friends with the Jeffrey, look at him twice. He said I was having my lunch table. Now I'm a chunky kid and I'm a happy kid, and just like I joke now, I joke then, right? So I have my lunch plate with my two pizzas in the chocolate milks, or I do chocolate and strawberry, you know what I'm saying? Switch it up. And I'm walking to the table. It's back when I could fit at a table with the pull back chair.
Right.
So this is yeah. Oh yeah, I got a fork. This is about to be a good time. Okay. Listen, I prepared my mind for this. He said, you only drink chocolate milk because you're black. If you were white, you drink white milk. And I was like, chocolate milk is so much better than white milk. I don't know what you're talking about. He then got upset because I said chocolate is better than white. That was my first fight, and that was in second grade.
Oh my gosh.
Now, as an adult, I can fully tell you that chocolate milk is definitely better than white milk in all situations.
Oh, I'd vote for that any day.
All situations.
Yeah.
Personal opinion, I mean, except for cereal, and then if you really like sweets, chocolate milk is better than white milk in that situation too. Although I got looked funny at because I was doing chocolate milk in Lucky Charms, but that's neither here nor there. So that's diabetes in a cup. But yeah, listen, I'm here to express my story and make light of a very dark, heavy situation. So that's the second little piece of it. Ended in me getting into a fight with him. He did not win because I'm still big, and he didn't understand that I could push him down and sit on him, and then Donkey Kong his face. He didn't understand that. He learned
Alan,
it.
I don't want to, I like how much momentum you get. I don't want to interrupt you too much, but so this interaction, your second interaction, what was y'all's age?
This is second grade, so I was probably like 7.
Second grade, 7 years old. Okay. Do you think,
7.
do you think this interaction was, because I mean, it doesn't necessarily sound like it, but do you think this was just two kids getting an argument, or do you think this is something that was impressed on the other kid, whether it's by his parents or his lifestyle or whatever? Do you think his attitude
I
was
think
learned?
he was
or do you
saying
think-
black people.
Go ahead.
I think it has to be learned because a child, like two babies together, they grow up together and you don't have any impression on them, they're going to be friends for the most part, and they're not going to know the difference. All they know is kid and kid. I've seen it, and we've seen daycare systems where from 0 to about 1, kids love being around kids. It's an innocent time.
That's right.
But there's some type of subliminal messaging that says you can't be with this kid because he doesn't look like you. Or I don't know, I can only know what it is on this side because I have a 4-year-old and I'm about to have another one. I know that I don't teach my son that he's better than anybody. I know that personally. What I do is, it's really trash that I even have to say this. I tell him, treat them like, just to put it differently, it's not actually what I say, but the feeling is, if you don't want somebody doing this to you, don't do this to him. Do you want to be pushed down? No. Don't push this kid down. Now, don't allow him to push you down because you're big. Don't just get pushed around. That's a parent thing. But let's go back to the last display that I seen. This person actually, his parents were the ding 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 ding. This is what you think about. Like, this is, I've never seen a rebel flag, but I'm just gonna throw that. This was not we're not talking about dairy products here. We're talking about my skin, your skin. And granted, there were probably 20 black people in the whole school. So as a group, we all hung around each other.
Sure.
And then they hung around. The whole rest of the school world hung out there. As a reflection, we had a black table that we would hang out at and joke and play. They had their tables that they would joke and play. And then they would come over to, I'm making it sound like segregation because it literally was. They would come and mess with us, and then we would then retaliate and mess with them. Like, it was a thing. So whenever I made that story, without saying it, I guess I should have said it. This is very much what the racism was. Like, it's an understood thing. Now, I told you there's only 20 people that were black, like, in the school. We're talking K through 6, right? Okay, we go up to middle school. There's a few more black people because they're pooling in from different areas. So there's a few more. If we weren't, this is 7th grade, and I'm being very serious. If we weren't playing sports, nobody messed with us. Like, we were bad kids by default, unless we played something.
Wow.
So there's only basketball and football from 7th grade and 8th grade. That's middle school for us, right? As you go out to the larger educational systems, elementary, middle school, high school, the selection pool has to widen so that everybody can go to one edifice, one central location. That is Hardin Jefferson. And what it does is it brings in a larger populace of the same ideal. So rather than having 20 kids at an elementary, oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
So we lost Alan there for a second.
Okay. I said, oh no, freeze frame. Yeah, I'll tell you what, some of the hardest stories to listen to. I mean, they're all hard. I hate to hear anybody have to go through any of that. Period, just to be judged on what they look like. But the kids, any story. I don't know, I guess somehow I can justify it to an extent. like you're being judged based on the choices you make or whatever. When I know that's not always the case, but we lost me. When it's kids,
We'll wait for Alan to get back in.
I think I'm gonna try and switch up these audio settings real quick. We will have to probably trigger our mic with this.
Mic check. All right. Was your sound cutting in and out? Yeah, it was that way currently. We're just gonna we'll have to pause on both our songs. Like this.
Yo, all right, sweet. Wow. You must have lost power, maybe?
Oh no. Oh, probably so. It probably went blink. And he's like, oh, like, no. So I guess we need to ask everybody, are you plugged in? Like,
Yeah.
go ahead and get plugged in.
What we can do is still recording. We'll just splice these two deals together.
Do you want me to pause it, or will I risk forgetting to unpause it?
I say we just keep it running.
Okay.
Man, second grade.
Yeah. Like, hearing about kids, I start getting emotional.
So like, Blakely's already asked about skin color, and we've talked about that. And you know, it's just some people are darker, some people are not dark. You know, it is what it is. And he's back.
And he's back. Hey, I gotta unmute you somehow.
There you go. Let's see.
Am I good?
Hey,
you're
yeah,
good.
yeah.
You're good. So we're taking bets. Your phone power down?
Yes. Yes.
Ah, we do it. We do it.
Yeah. I, being the genius that I am, forgot to charge it and had to run to the room. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, you were frozen on our side. You're like,
Yeah.
So we're still recording. So wherever you want to pick up, talking about
Yeah.
Brandon
So
Barnett,
I think I'm
Jefferson.
Yeah, I think I was talking about it. It made a larger populace of the same idea. So rather than it being 20 people, it ended up being like 40, 60, at the most 80, at the most, in a whole high school. Now keep in mind, this is like a 2A, 3A school, right? So it's not that many. It's not like 500, 600 people in a graduating class. It's more like 100 or so people in a graduating class, probably 500, 600 people in the whole school. So the whole town has this unspoken thing that we all know. If you don't hoop or you don't play football, what is your purpose, right? So education wasn't taken away from us, but it wasn't expected of us. Like we were expected to be athletically good, but not necessarily scholastically good. The only caveat is not many people from that town make it out to go to college by athletic means, right? It's a smaller school, regardless of your talent. Few people actually make it out to play at the next level of college, which is the goal if you're trying to like get to the NFL or get to the NBA. Very few people actually do that. So once you finish high school, most people just ceiling plateau, and then they stay right there in Grayburg, and then start a family with one Black person that they met, and then that's where they exist, doing whatever they can to survive. That's the thing. So we ended up moving for circumstances that was beyond our control at the time. Had a house fire, and we had to move away from Sour Lake, which is a blessing. I moved to Beaumont. And that's the next situation where how I speak ended up indicating or contradicting what they see. So me on the phone, me as a person, if you hang around me, you close your eyes, I'm kind of ambiguous at times. I throw out words that are like, whoa, what the heck does that word mean? From time to time, because that's the word that pops in my head, that's not necessarily one of the, it's not what Black people do. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that. For whatever reason, Black people speak ignorantly is a thing that I've encountered far more times than I'd like to say. The only thing that actually is more true as far as being grouped in there with that ideal is you're not Black because how you talk. I've heard that. If I had a penny for how many times I've heard that, I probably have $100. And I'm being realistic. I'm not gonna say $1 million. That's ridiculous. I don't even say hello that often. But I've been called non-Black due to how I speak more times than any person should. It's kind of like it's a compliment and it's also a huge diss. Number one, I speak well. Sweet. I read books. On the back end, how is being intelligent a white thing?
Well, I think that's the problem, and obviously it is. But there's a lot of ignorant white people, and I'm pretty sure I'm kin to most of them. So, yeah.
Well, heck, we should swap this episode. And how are you so open minded when you were born in this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question.
Rather than the scope be on me, because you can go to any media and you can see what's happening to my community of people for a few reasons, but specifically for the depiction of violence in Black culture. That's one. And then controversy sells. That's another one. Three, to perpetuate the narrative of a violent, ignorant race of people. We can't be next to them because look how they're acting. Nobody's asking the question, why are they acting this way? Now, as far as I did a video on Facebook talking about as an adult with my child, things that have happened to me within the last year. Said that I'm going somewhere with this. I said that I was pulled out of my car, no reason other than my windows are tinted. It's a Black car. They couldn't see inside, and I was on my way to drop my son off to daycare and go to work. I was pulled out of my car. When I raised the window down, his hand immediately went to his hip. That's the first thing. The next thing is I was asked to present my license registration. I said, absolutely. I reached extremely slow. The gun came out of the holster. I grabbed I had to lean up because I'm big. This is an Altima. Now, I know I shouldn't be driving it. I know I need a truck, but it's fiscally responsible to have, okay? You know what I'm saying? I pulled the wallet out of my pocket. He's there. My window's completely down. This is a highway. It's the daytime. It's like 7 o'clock, 7:30. I grabbed the license out. I hand it to him. I then reach slowly to where my license is. He then ducks down and looks at who puts a gun in their mirror. Who can put a gun up there? Have you tried to put anything up there besides paper? He then ducks down and the gun's out of the holster. He then stables himself while the gun's down in my car. I pull my registration. He goes back. He looks at it. He's there for like 20 minutes. Now I still have to go to work. He then brings it back to me. He tells me to get out of the car. I said, "Is there a problem? What's happening?" He said, "Get out of the car." and back away. So he's back, he's by his car, and he said, get out of the car. He said, get out of the car while he was still in his car. So he said it over the loudspeaker. So I got out of the car, and he told me to back to him. Okay, so this is a highway. I'm backing to him. He then grabs one of my arms. I'm like this, obviously, because I don't know what's about to happen to me, and I can't turn around to look at what he's doing. He grabs one of my arms, puts it behind my back, and then handcuffs me. Sir, what am I doing? I have a child in the car. What am I doing? Get on the ground. Do not resist. Okay, that's completely fine. This is the middle of summer. I'm laying on the cement. This is just a car stop. My son starts crying. He then goes through my car, throwing everything around in my car, looking for whatever. Okay? Doesn't find anything because I don't dabble in that type of activity, right? He then uncuffs me. He uncuffs me, gets in his car. He doesn't even say, I'm sorry, what I did, what he was looking for, why my car is destroyed now. Everything that was in my glove compartment, everything that was in the back seat, it's all thrown around. There's stuff laying on my son. He's like 2 at this point. Like there's actual things, like he just got in there and was just like, there were actual like stuff that was in the glove box, like, ketchup packets. And don't judge me. You never know when you need ketchup on the go. And then like napkins and such. And it was just like sitting there in his car seat, just sitting in his car seat. Okay. And I'm sitting here and I have to scrap together my life. And as I'm trying to collect the pieces of what's happening to me now, he just drives off. No ticket, no warning, no reason. Just drives off. It's another Tuesday. Now, when I dress for work, understand that I'm an engineer. So I'm dressed in a button-up shirt. At this time, I was rocking a tie because I was feeling extremely good. So I have a black t-shirt, had a blue tie, had black slacks on, had my Stacey Adams and the good socks, okay, to match the tie because I got to coordinate, okay? Got to coordinate. And now I have dirt and debris on me. I drop my son off to daycare. I'm not realizing that my knees are still dirty and dusty because, when you get up, first thing you do is this, right? Right? I get to work. And the people that I work with, predominantly Caucasian, that's a whole nother situation when it gets to college, right? It's a whole nother situation. In my field, as an engineer, there's only 2 in my whole company, and there's 300 people. There's only 2 black engineers in my whole company. That's besides the point. I get to my job, and I go and tell my boss at the time, I was like, hey, I need to talk to you, and I need to vent this to somebody because I'm so angry right now, and I don't have a reasonable avenue to release this anger and hatred. So the person, the sweetest soul, think of Miss Sherry, but then like mixed her with Polly Pocket as far as cuteness goes.
But she was sweet.
Oh, sweet as molasses. Okay, so I'm gonna tell her you did that. All right, so I love the pause for dramatic effect. I'm gonna tell her you did that. So I had to do this, and then she called everybody in the office. Like she called my sect, like my group of like 8 people in the office with her, and I told them the whole story that I just told you, and they were sitting there looking at me like, "You're lying." No. Why? Why? Hold on. But you're you though. Why? Why? You're in a tie. Why? I'm not gonna believe that. I'm not like there was a person that was like, I'm not gonna believe that. And then one of the younger ones was like, look at his knees. I was like, oh snap, I forgot. And they were like, no. And then it was just tears. So that's one of the stories I told on my Facebook. I'm going to change gears and I'm going to talk about how I feel as a Black person anytime the authorities are in the picture. Not just for this particular month or last month where this issue has been put on a big screen to be known by the whole populace. Anytime a cop, and you can ask any Black person you want, going down to probably 10, 8, whenever you start to get interested in cars. Anytime a cop gets behind me, I immediately become aware of my rear view, side view mirrors. Why? So I don't know if I'm gonna get shot today. I just told you a story where he didn't give me any reason for what was happening. He didn't give me a ticket. Agent Garcia 275 is still driving around on his job. So anytime a police officer gets called, or anytime, realistically, anytime I watch a video, which has become the thing because of social media, and everybody has a video camera, everybody can be a reporter of ridiculousness that's going on. Anytime I hear, I'm gonna call the cops, somebody about to die. Somebody's about to die. And they're not gonna look like you, they're gonna look like me. Messed up thing is, after this is over with, after the George Floyd situation is done and everybody's moving on to the next thing in social media, I'm still gonna have to deal with this. I don't have the luxury of saying, I don't wanna deal with this anymore. I'm off this subject because I'm still the subject. They said, and I'm saying they loosely as media sources say, that all lives matter. I say that is very true, but specifically, I matter. And I will say this, anytime you see somebody make a post that says all lives matter as a response to somebody saying Black lives matter, that's literally them going against the fact that Black lives matter. That's literally what they're saying. Black lives matter. I can't breathe. Black lives matter. Well, all lives matter. Why are you refuting me when I say that I matter? Why? Why is there a response to what I said? Why are you negating what I'm saying, that Black lives matter? Has there ever been a White Lives Matter movement? Why does the Black Lives Matter movement even happen? Obviously, we feel like we don't, so we need to tell you that we do, and the response that we get, hands up, don't shoot. There's a reason why these statements exist, and nobody's looking at the reason, they're only looking at the people. If that's not the case, if this white privilege and the deliberate mockery of the Black race, African American race doesn't exist, go to Google and type in hashtag George Floyd challenge. See what you get.
Alan, can you say that one more time?
Hashtag George Floyd.
Did you guess first one? George Floyd challenge. Okay.
So I'm a little ignorant on that because I haven't seen that. So Can you explain what that is?
Absolutely. It's a collection of Caucasian people kneeling and smiling, like kneeling on the back of somebody's neck and smiling, taking a picture. That's the whole premise of the challenge. So not only, oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna bring this up. I'm gonna change gears again because I like to go at a situation from multi angles. So there's no debate. There's no, you got to take this to the face. I made a post on Facebook. Like this post if you want to be treated like a Black person in America. Absolutely no comments, no likes, 1 week.
Wow.
I came back the next week. Maybe you didn't, maybe you didn't see my post. I'm not the most popular person. Like this post if you want to be treated Black in America. No likes, no comments, nothing. What does that mean? And I'm stealing this statement from a white person who's a Black activist, if that makes any sense. I think her first name is Jane, and she runs the experiment with all white people, and she channels racism through eye color rather than skin color. So she'll take a sect of 60 people. Some of them will be blue eyes, some of them will be brown eyes. Blue eyes is a recessive gene, so the blue eyes are the lesser. The brown eyes are the dominant, higher, right? So normal things like they went into a room, there was a space in between, all blue eyes people sit down in this space. It's like they all came in and they all did this. I was like, then she said, all brown eyes people stand up and stay in the back. So you're like, okay, they're going into this blind thing, not knowing what's about to happen. This is just a documentary letting people know that don't know what racism is and how it can happen and affect other people. Now back into the story. She had the brown eyes people. I almost said Black people. She had the brown eyes people stand in the back, and then she made all the blue eyed people come and sit down in the middle. After all the blue eyed people had came through, they got picked out. They all sat down in the middle. She told the brown eyed people to go and sit in the chairs on either side of the blue eyed people. One of the blue eyed people stood up, was like, hey, I want to sit in the chair. Sit down. Blue eyed people sit on the floor. What? Then she goes into this whole spiel. There's one particular girl who gets upset at it, start to say how this isn't fair. Keep in mind, she's blonde hair, blue eyed. She then raises a fit. Jane, being the teacher, shuts it down immediately. She then raises a fit again. Jane kicks her out of the classroom. Okay. She then goes on with the lesson. Blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl then comes back into the room, slams the door, and then sits on the floor. Oh no, you don't have the place to do this. Get out of my classroom. And then she goes into a rant again. Remove her from my classroom. So they take her out of the classroom. She goes into it. She makes that point, and then there's a series of beneficial things that happen to the brown-eyed people, and then none of that happens to the blue-eyed people. And they're starting to look around. Now, she asked the question, brown-eyed people, do you want to be a blue-eyed person? Nobody said, because I mean, no, absolutely not. I don't want that at all. Then she hits this brick directly in the face. So you know it's not right. You don't want it for you. Why do you want it for them? Full circle to my post, to which I then gave this story. No response. Now, there's a different way to look at even that post. As a Black person, there weren't any Black people that said they wanted to be treated Black twice. Yeah. I made the statement, it's cool to be Black until you gotta be Black. And that in and of itself shouldn't exist. Now, I said all these stories and I made all these points and stuff. And what I don't want to be taken away is he's racist, he's angry, he's a problem, he's a threat. I don't want that to be taken away from this. I'm on this podcast with you, white people.
Yeah, man, we're all pretty on this
I
thing.
don't. Yeah, I don't have malice. I don't have hatred in my heart. My brother, my negative, is white, the whitest of whites. Oh, he's so super white. I literally call him my negative because I'm Black and he's allergic. I'm not allergic to anything. He's big and white and allergic to the world. I don't know how he's fat. That's for another podcast. We'll talk about that later.
That's for a whole team of scientists to figure out.
He can't eat cake. Do you know what that's like to not eat cake?
No, I don't know what that's like.
Hey, Alan, I was over visiting Mama and Daddy Hoffpower's house the other day, and I saw a picture of a guy on the wall I recognized. I said, okay, well, there's Brittany. Who's that other guy? That slender. They said, that's Chris. I was like, no way. Didn't even recognize him.
Freshman 15 hits everybody different.
Did you say freshman 15?
Freshman 50.
50, yeah. 250, well, give or take.
Listen, he showed, like, just like you did that, he showed me his license. And I was like, I feel like you could eat this person on this license right now.
Context for everybody that's listening, Chris that we're talking about is my brother-in-law. Again, best friends with Alan here, so we have a little bit of history of jabbing at old Chris.
Yeah. And they're Cowboys fans, so I gotta give them trash. I gotta give it to them.
This is not the podcast.
Yeah.
This is not the podcast.
Okay. I apologize. That's all. Racism, Black lives. That's good. Cowboys. Talk about Cowboys. I know now. That's good.
You get it.
Yeah. I mean, you told me. I know now. Sorry. Let's move on.
That's right.
Now, I do want to say this. Knowing me as a person, knowing my personality, you wouldn't assume that I'm an engineer. Seeing how large I am, you would assume I play football or some sports revolving around physical violence on other people. Because, that's what big people do, right? I get that I'm large. I get it. I see me in the mirror. I see me real time in the mirror. One mirror. Okay, I fit in one still. But I see me. And I realize as the elevator doors open, that's a lot of fella to take into account. Usually I'm the largest in the room. Usually. I get that when an elevator door opens and then I'm like, no, doesn't matter what I'm dressed like. It's just I'm a lot of guy. I'm a lot of fella. This is at least 8 bases wide right here. So one thing that's extremely hurtful, aside from hearing racism out of somebody's mouth, whether intentional or accident, is watching the nonverbal communication of, oh my God, he's going to hurt me. Let me bring you into my world. I work in, I'm working, and we're at the 15. When the doors open, there are usually white people that are in there because there aren't many black engineers. So ladies specifically between, 29 and up, when the doors open, they usually either transfer their purse to the other arm by the wall, or they clutch their purse whenever I step into the elevator. Now, granted, I'm large. However, I'm looking real nice with the tie and the shoe. I just said all this stuff. Got to keep it fresh, baby. Got to be fresh out here in these streets. And in my head, I think, if I wanted to take your purse, you clutching it wouldn't save it. So why are you doing that? And that's funny and also wrong to think, but I seen it, and that was the thought that was stimulated in my head. I actually got tired of it because I'd had some accidental racism happen to me, and that almost hurts. I'd much rather you be racist out the gate than you to be racist and not tell anybody. And I think you're cool people. Finding out somebody has a different outlook than what you assume from what they tell you hurts more than somebody being a Klan member. Okay, I almost respect people that are outright racist more than I respect people. Actually, I do. If you're a closet racist person, you should be socked in the face. That's how I feel. Just socked in the face. Not like this. No, that's too much. You put shoulder, arm, there's mechanics behind it. Right to the forehead. Just like that. Stop. Like it's
we could probably start across America right now, to be honest with you.
No, this will exponentiate the death rate of black people in America, because we listen. We are a very animated people. It'll be a whole production. We can't. To prove that point, go to a magic show and watch the response of white people watching magic, and then watching the black people watching the same magic. If you're a magician and you're just starting out and you get a trick that's really good, do it to a black person. That's the biggest confidence boost you have ever had in your life. You know how many Chris Angel specials I've seen where they single out black people for the response? And every time, immediate. And this is what happens. They take off running. Listen, it's funny to me because I know I do that. It's a thing, and I can't help it. And I figured out why that is. Aside from the fact that it's magic is cool, it takes us to a world where the reality isn't the reality for a little while. Things that you think can't happen can happen, if just for a little bit. That's why we, black people, lose our stuff every time it happens. And it's clockwork. You get it done. It could have been something stupid as a misdirection, and they put a ring on your shoulder or something like that. Take off running. Every single time.
That's a pretty big consensus of why.
Yeah. So I don't know how long we have for this, but I can talk about my experience with this issue like all day. And I don't want people to feel sad for me, because it's like Bane. If you were raised in darkness and darkness is all you know, then to me, the darkness.
I'm just going to say this one time. You've never seen me and Batman in the same room together, okay? You never have.
I can't tell you how many edits we make just to get all these Batman stuff out of previous episodes.
It's embarrassing.
I do this for you, Poppy. I give it back to you.
There it is. There it is. Well, look, I know you got a busy schedule like everybody else. Can you switch gears again for us and kind of talk to us about what you think would be? So let me back up just a second. I know there's a lot of people out there with solutions on what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. And there's also people out there saying, hey, you should speak up. And then when you speak up, like, hey, you're not saying the right thing. There's a lot of back and forth. And for white people who aren't racist, it's a situation where we genuinely want to hear, not speak. We want to hear, what do you need? What needs to happen from the other perspective so that we can come together and actually find a place where we can start seeing the stuff drowned out in society. And it almost becomes a huge deal for someone to act racist or to have these things to where we're just basically eradicating this stuff from our society. And I pray it happens in our lifetime, but I just want right now in the moment, like, what do you need to hear from white people or any other race to help bring conversations that produce solutions, if that makes sense?
I'm gonna say this. Even this platform, what you're attempting to do right now helps, because people that trust in you spiritually as well as a one-on-one personal tip, they may not be privy to what is going on because it doesn't happen to them specifically. So them having their eyes open to this could change a small piece of what happens going forward. I'm gonna give you two solutions. One is a hilarious thing that'll probably happen 7 to 8 generations down the road. The only way to get rid of racism is for everybody to look the same.
I knew you were gonna say that, bro. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, so basically, mulatto kids having mulatto kids and everybody's looking Creole. That's
Which, by
pretty
the
much
way,
how it stops.
By the way, my people from Ireland are part of that original equation. I'm just gonna say, man, I come from a good stock of people. It's like, it don't matter what you look like, you know? Let's just make this thing happen, make some babies, okay?
Can you fight? Okay, listen. Can you drink? Can you fight?
And
All
eat
right.
potatoes. Let's do it.
So that's one answer. The second answer is more indirect and more sad. If you can talk about these issues, chances are you can't change them specifically. Get that?
Say it one more time slowly.
If you can talk about these issues, chances are you can't change them at all. Because the people that can't talk about it are at the top.
Yeah.
They're the ones that make the laws. They're the ones that change the narrative. They're the ones that run the media. We're not those people. We're just the ants at the mid or bottom of the pile. All the queen people that run all the things that got the money, they profit off of the controversy. They profit off of the separatism. They profit off of dissension. That's their thing. Sex sells, controversy sells, sports sells. Music and consuming music, that sells, but the people that actually make the music, they don't get any money. That's another podcast. Now, what can we do now to help this situation? It involves the huge amount of people voting for change, voting to change out the figureheads that run this country. Because right now, people are being petty for the sake of being petty. And I'm going to say this, I'm not going to say, let's give me 5 minutes. I'm going to say this kind of quick, and then I'm gonna move. Okay. Okay. Did you know that Republican was originally black and Democrat was originally white? Did you know that?
Actually, I did know that. Being a former politician, yeah. But I'm curious to hear your
Now,
point on this.
oh, I swing it wide to bring it right on in. This is I-10. I'm coming from Beaumont. I'm gonna bring it right to Orange. Just give me a second through Rose City, okay? So, and then I got to go through Vidor, which is also hilarious to me on that whole thing. Side note, caveat: did you know there was a post going on about a Black Lives Matter thing happening in Vidor?
Organized by a young white woman. That was my reaction.
Oh, no, you're not doing that to me, baby. Listen, I was about to get pulled over in Vidor. I drove to Rose City, and then the cop came to my door. Hey, you seen me with my flashing lights on. Why did you not pull over? You tried to pull me over in Vidor, Texas, and I would much rather get killed in Rose City than Vidor. And he was like, you have a nice day. And I drove off. That guy's awesome. He was like, you obviously have things that you have to deal with that I don't. White guy. I think his name was Chapman. I don't know why I can remember names. You have a nice day. Thank you, sir. I rolled up my window. I unreleased my butt cheeks that were grabbing the seat because I know how this is. I know how this can go. I realized that I drove the speed limit for literally, it was a low speed chase, really, is what you can call it. I drove the speed limit for another 13 minutes, and then I pulled over when it was feasible. I had my hands out of the window. I don't know if you do that when you get pulled over by cops. I do. Had my hands out of the window as much as I could do, and he walked up. And he came up firing like he was mad. And I was like, you about to pull me over in Vidor, and I can't afford that. I can't afford that. Let me go. Now, Republican, Democratic. Had to get back on track. Had to tell you that because it's funny and not funny, but this is okay. So most black people vote Democratic. It's a thing, right? Democratic is branded as a thing for the people. Republican is branded as white people with money, right? Regardless of the issues, regardless of what they bring to the table, most people, I'm gonna tell you, that are like me, that look like me, vote Democratic. Doesn't make sense, but that's what happens. Also, most people that are low income are minorities. Most people that are low income are minorities. Now, that's not the 100% because they are still trailer parks, which is a ghetto for white people, right?
Not according to them, it's not a ghetto.
No, absolutely not. It's a trailer park. And this is America. Now, yeah, listen, only person that's going to love my sister is me.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Oh, no. We're going to have to, like, bleep that whole thing. Oh, Jesus, take the wheel.
Oh, yeah, just bleep off the sister part. And then that part that I just said to go back to what I actually said. Just those two segments there. Yeah. In post. Cool. So most people that are minorities vote Democratic and then this isn't really the best ideal for it. The last Democratic candidate was Obama, who happens to be a minority, which is why he ended up being in office so long, because he looked like us. We think that Obama did things for the black community that other white people, the other 42 white people before him, is he the 43rd? 44? I feel like I should know that as a black person. You're muted.
I think he's 44.
I feel like I should know that as a black person, but I didn't pay attention to the rest of the 40. So
There you
sue me. Listen, and I want to say that this part right now is huge. It's huge. Listen, the 45th president is the best. Everybody knows it. Okay. So
Good.
I feel like I just made some people mad. I was gonna leave that alone.
They'll be all right.
They're used to it if they listen to us.
Was it good? Was it good?
Oh yeah.
The best. Listen. My impersonation of Donald Trump is the best. Everybody knows it.
Oh my God.
Bible. Yeah. So I am not gonna say how I voted. You could probably discern which way I voted. I just didn't particularly like the candidates of the last election. Now, here are the things. What can we do at the top, figureheads wise, to move this country forward for everyone, rather than just pushing the narrative and business as usual for some? I think this country won't be level to a playing field until, unfortunately, this is all burned down and America's started over from scratch. Like there's no way to stop what's happening right now until we get answers. And nobody wants to admit that this is happening for a reason. Nobody has the power to give us the answers that we need. So really, it's a Rage Against the Machine, which is my personal favorite band, for a purpose that can't be defined or rectified by anybody. Well, it can be defined, but it can't be rectified by anybody. Now, we need to get off this because I've been talking forever, but explaining why I deserve to live is something that I have done, and I shouldn't have done. So I think I'm going to attack this question this way. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Well, all lives aren't getting killed. Actually, I'm gonna run both. I am kind of schizophrenic. I'm gonna run both sides of the conversation. And for the purpose of this, I'm gonna do the turn and turn so you feel me talking to me. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Well, all lives aren't getting killed. They're killing people that look like me. Well, actually, if you look at the black on black crime, police officers are actually killing less black people than black people killing other black people. So it's okay to kill me because black people are killing me? Did you know that black people are the minority, 13% in America? They like to throw out facts. But they're proportionate for over 50 or 60% of the crime. Did you know that there are more white people than black people in America? Yeah, I just said that. Why are there more black people than white people in jail? Because black people are creating all the crimes. This is where I get it. Okay, so you have white people, you have black people. Let's just say that black people live in a lower income area than white people do. Yeah, okay. Okay. So crime is happening in a lower populated area because they don't have anything they can do to make a living. They have to make a living. Yeah. So the police chief, which is over both areas, sends more police officers to the higher crime area. Yeah. So there are more cops to catch the crimes because they're over policing this area and they're not policing this area. Of course, you're going to find crap if you look for it specifically, unless they're keys and you're my wife. Of course, you're going to find more crap here because you have more people, more eyes looking at a situation or a demographic of people. So why are there more black people in jail? If I slap you right now and nobody sees, I won't go to jail. If there's a cop there and I slap you, he's seen me, I'm going to go to jail. That made me feel good that I could get that out and also break the fourth wall.
Look, it was very compelling, especially both sides. I thought you did fantastic. It was beautiful. The best I've ever seen.
Listen, my acting performances are literally the best.
Yeah, make sure you get the sucking in the bottom teeth too. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I've never seen reverse vitiligo until I've looked at Donald Trump. It's really weird. You know what vitiligo is? It's where black people lose melanin on parts of their skin.
Yeah, on the eyes.
Yeah, I've never seen that. And if he does wear, I want to know if he goes to the beach, is it an orange tan that stops here and the rest is just lily white?
So, not that I'm obsessed with the way Trump looks, but I did see a golfing picture recently, and his arms seem like a very normal color, but his face is like a freaking pumpkin. Explain that one to me.
He has to be taking mist to the face. It's like a bronze. You know how it's like bodybuilders and they put bronzer on so they can look good. You know.
That's what I do too before I get on stage on Sundays. Bronze it up. Yeah.
Now that we're talking and I've said all the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to say, I want to ask one question.
Okay.
And I asked this question to Chris, and he laughed and said, I don't know. So I'm going to ask it to you. How did we get the name of color when y'all can be all the colors of the rainbow?
That's a great question.
Prove my point. If I punch you, I would never punch you, Matt, or Matt now.
I hope not.
If I punch you, if I frog you in the arm and it creates a bruise, you're going to go through a series of colors. You've seen it. You're gonna be...
I'm just not figuring out what you're getting at. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna go purple. It's gonna heal. You're gonna then shift to like green of some sort, and then at the tail end, it's probably gonna be a yellow hue, and then you go back to being white.
Yeah.
That's at least 3 spaces of a rainbow. I don't know how. Listen, you punch me, number one, I'm gonna punch you back, but I'm still gonna be black. When I heal, black.
So I'm actually a rare breed because I'm a 3-color paint, okay? Like a nice racehorse, all right? I'm white, I've got brown freckles, and red elbows and knees. Explain that one to me. I don't know, bro.
You do got freckles.
Mm-hmm.
It's the other red stuff that kind of, listen,
It's called,
dealing with you is it's a lot. Hey, listen, it's awe-inspiring, really. Like, I've never taken the chance to just look at you, man. You are a picture of something, but you're a picture.
We're going somewhere good for a split second, all right?
Listen, hey, man, I need to do that. I need to be doing that, man. Hey, I don't pay attention very often, but when I do, Mad
You would
chance.
notice that Trump has an orange face and white arms. But, you know, it is what it is.
Is it? I guess it is technically what it is, but
See?
So Alan, before we close out, and you can take as much time as you want, or you can keep it as short as you want. It's completely up to you. Earlier, you had mentioned about a post you made on social media about asking the world if they wanted to be treated as Black for a certain amount of time. I want you to capture the beauty of your culture. I guess, for example, I don't want to like go into white privilege mode or anything like that. But for me, like my life, the beauty of my life was and still is family. Okay, so your culture, I want you to tell me, I guess, why you're proud to be who you are.
I'm proud to be who I am because I realize I'm different, and that's perfectly fine with me. We both bleed. We bleed the same color. So it really shouldn't be any dissension between whether you're white skin, black skin, yellow skin, red skin, or Dallas Cowboy. But that's a whole race of people that we're not going to talk about because you've already told me we're not supposed to talk about it this episode. I apologize.
That's two.
Listen, I'm not going to say anything about the Dallas Cowboys ever again. I promise I won't. Promise I will not say anything.
That's three. I'm driving to Tulsa tonight. Okay.
I didn't say nothing. I
For
didn't
those
say
who aren't
anything.
able to view what's happening right now, he has a freaking Oakland Raiders flag. I'm sorry, Las Vegas Raiders flag in the background now. What happens in Vegas should just stay in Vegas, including the Raiders. Sorry, I'm out. I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm sorry. I'm out. I'm good. I'm good.
You came out and you attacked me. I didn't say anything that was wrong about what you are. There's nothing wrong with being who you are. It's a beautiful thing,
I see where you're going with this. You brought it all full circle, man. I like it. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Listen, we're all football fans, okay? I happen to be black and silver, and you're blue-blooded
and silver.
Okay, you get it? Blue lives matter, okay? They do. But I'm still black. I matter too. And you want to say no, don't you? You want to say no.
I can't. You have put me in that place where I cannot.
You prove my point.
I'm driving to Tulsa.
This feels like an episode of The Princess Bride. You get it?
Yes, I do.
But that was
inconceivable.
Inconceivable. Yeah, man. Yeah, so you told me to do something, and you said something about you don't want to make it seem like your white privilege would be showing. There's nothing wrong with that. And you shouldn't feel bad for the fact that you have a leg up on the competition being everybody else. That's your life. I was born on this side of the tracks. In most towns, that's the dividing line. You were born on that side of the tracks. What I did to get out of that is I seen the life that I could have if I got pissed and stayed there and just said, woe is me. And I wanted to collect this thing, so I have to have money for that. How can I get money? I have to be educated. I have to get a certificate. I have to get a piece of paper saying that I can be educated, and I have to pursue something that's going to bring me finances so that I can later support my family in a better situation than I grew up in. I grew up poor. I don't want that for my children. So I became more so that I could give more so that he can be the intelligent, snob, cute kid that he is. He has a race car bed, okay? He has all the cool stuff I wanted, and he doesn't even know that most kids don't have it.
Ain't that the
And
truth?
that's America. I wish I had a dad that was like me, who has a literal Guitar Center in his bedroom. I did not. So all I can do is be the example to make him better and hope that he sees my work ethic. He sees the blueprint that I've laid before him so that he can too find someone to love him and they can build something that's better than what me and my wife have. My wife, not my baby mama, not my girlfriend, my wife of 6 years. And he's 4. That's another narrative that we're not going to hit now.
That's true. I'm just glad you remembered your anniversary length or your marriage length because
Yeah.
I struggle every year with that.
Listen, this is where you messed up at, Matt. Not getting married. Brittany is a beautiful chick. She's beautiful.
Thank
You have 2 lovely kids.
Thank you.
Really, I asked the question, how did you do it? How'd you do it? How did you do it? I see what you're working with. I see what she's working with. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna get close to the microphone of the camera right now and say I am driving to Tulsa.
I was actually about to start barbecuing, so if you want to, that's cool. You like ribs or brisket?
Sure. Yes.
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 Anyway, yeah, man. So I forgot where I was going with that.
Anniversary.
I just poking.
6 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You said you had
Yes.
one on
Yeah.
the way or just born?
On the way.
On the way.
One is on the way. August of this year.
Congratulations on that. It'll be a fun summer.
Yes, August of this year. The other one coming. So, thank you. Yeah, well, I get to be at home, working from home. We'll see how long this lasts. So I'll be there as a helpmeet for my wife, and she's ecstatic about it. Now, I, for one, am not. Now, am I the only one that looks at work as a vacation away from family? No.
We can't answer that.
Our wives listen to this, so
So I am the only one because my wife doesn't listen to this, so that's great. Now, I'm glad I didn't say their name. Phenomenal. Now, dang it! If I said my name, they could find me. Chronicles. Whatever. That's just something else I did. Now, the narrative is, and I apologize that I'm segueing this again, things that are looked upon. If a girl has a baby, she's black, chances are the dad's not around. Okay? That's true a lot of the time, but that's not true in my case. I enjoy being a father. I enjoy being with my wife. I don't have a baby mama. I don't have a side chick. I don't have 3 babies out there that I'm aware of. I have this one child with my wife, and my life has been wholesome and good, okay? I am a good Christian out here most days, and we're not going to bring that narrative here in this household. But that is the thing. If you don't believe it, go to Target and then look at some of the diapers of the African-American representation. Most of the time, you're going to see a lady by herself with a baby. Now, if it's a white person, you'll see the whole family. It'll be a man, a woman, and a child. If you don't believe that, go to Target and go down to baby aisle. That's actually the subliminal depiction of what Black culture is. Fathers aren't around. And crazy thing is, most aren't around because they're either dead, because they've been killed, or they're in jail. So I get made fun of for not having a father, but they're pinpointed and put in jail or killed. for another time.
Yeah.
But that's just my thoughts. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I think. And it's not my truth, but it is true for somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
And I understand women are crazy. My woman is crazy because I don't want to get y'all in trouble. So I get it. And that's me looking up. You know what I'm saying? We bleed the same blood. I'm black. You blue. You get what I'm saying?
That's
Football.
That's
Football.
it. That's it.
Football. Okay?
Synergy. Bring it
Football.
together. Yeah.
Football. We're talking strictly about football.
That's exactly right. X's and O's.
Mm-hmm. I've joked y'all long enough.
Well, there's a lot of things you said that I'd love to go deeper into, and we'd end up with a 6-hour or more podcast. So, but there's a lot of things I think that I'd like to talk about maybe in the future with you if you're up for it. Just
Absolutely.
about those narratives that we see, because honestly, growing up, I grew up in a house where one parent was Republican, one was Democrat, but we heard all different types of things. And but I was never raised to treat anybody different. But all around me is these narratives that you're talking about, and being able to navigate that as a kid was difficult, and it still is today as an adult. Just trying to figure out the whys behind what you see. And I know that statistics, they're not always truthful. Matter of fact, very rarely are they truthful because every sample is skewed. So I don't care what side you're on, it's very targeted and very skewed. So I get that. So I've got a problem where I don't trust the media or the stats from anybody. So I try to find my way through all of that crap to get to, we know something's going on and it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some whys behind it. And it may go back centuries. It may only go back decades. And it may just be that there's a lot of perception problems as well with the actual problems that are going on. I don't know, but I'd love to go deeper into that, just to hear the perspective of the whys behind some of the narratives that we do have in America. But regardless, I do thank you for coming in, man, today and just talking with us and sharing your heart. And really, this is our goal, is just to have the platform open to hear and to learn. And even if we don't agree on everything, we don't have to, because what you said, even though jokingly, it's true. We all bleed the same, and different perspectives, in my opinion, are good, because if we're all the same, then life sucks because we're all boring. So I like diversity.
Yes.
And, you know.
And also, imagine a world full of Matts. That's awesome.
Now that's
for
like
about 30 minutes.
utopia.
30 minutes.
That's true. I get tired of myself, man. I mean, I
No.
really do.
That's all I wanted you to say. That's all I wanted you to say.
That's twice you've
I know I'm
trapped me
alive.
into something.
That's what happens when you give a black man an education.
Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Here we go.
I don't have to say anything to you. I turn your vision, misdirect, and then you find where I'm leading you. I live in Tulsa. I realize that. Come on.
I'm going to stop talking for the rest of the show now.
Well, this has been another Mattcast. I am the guest, Alan Brown, a.k.a. Bully the Kid. It's been a simple pleasure being with you this evening. I'm not going to take over.
That was beautiful. You should do all of our voiceover work.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, man.
But seriously, thank you for your time, Alan. Appreciate it. Sorry. There are two things I want to review. One thing you brought up is the only way we can even have a conversation to move forward as a human race is for everybody to be open and honest about their beliefs. If you believe something, then stand behind it, and that's where our conversations can have. So if there's somebody that just isn't exposed to different cultures and they just don't feel safe around certain cultures, then be honest about it. Have an open communication, and only then can other cultures, other sides of the whatever, can say, well, no. And what I was getting at is earlier in asking about kind of highlighting the best of cultures. I was hoping, and you probably will. It's just I didn't set you up very well for it, but I was hoping you were going to mention something about family, and you did. You did bring in your wife and your 2 kids, and because on my side of things, family was the utmost importance for me growing up, and I know that story, whether or not it's simply with mama or with sister or with dad or with brother, family is a lot. So when we see each other for who we are and we realize that there's love behind it, no matter what, that's when we can really start connecting on levels that we just haven't connected for centuries. So those who are listening, be honest about your beliefs. That's the only way we can move forward and have a conversation about that. And then secondly, you had mentioned something earlier. If you can talk about these issues, then you can't change them. I don't want to say the opposite, but I do want to offer some encouragement that we have a platform of social media, and even those who didn't have platforms on social media, even if it was just Miss Parks doing what she did, when we start having these conversations in an open platform like we do now, I think that's when we can make changes. So I want to continue to give you some encouragement there in regards to that, is that I think changes can happen, and it might be a fight to change it on the upper side, what you're saying, but we can do it together.
Strap up, baby. Freedom.
Yeah, I should have a better outlook. I should have a more positive outlook on what can be and not what is. So I will accept that, and I hear you.
I'm just trying to.
I hear you because I said it, and whenever I said it, that's really how it feels. Like if we're here, we're people, right? Yeah. And I feel like I'm powerless to stop what's going on, even though I know it's wrong. Yeah. You know it's wrong. And I can't stop it from happening to me. I can't turn it off. I can't distance myself from it. Whenever I go out into society, this is my life. And that's the mentality that I've been reasoning, justifying. And that's not right. So thank you for that enlightenment.
For sure. And I don't know, this is my personal opinion. I don't know if it's right or acceptable for any white person to take the lead on anything like this, but I think it is right and acceptable for me to do everything in my power to elevate the right person to stand up for what they believe on that side of the tracks and on their culture. So, I mean, as far as MACcast, we're going to do what we can. That's why we decided to open up the platform, is to do what we can to elevate the right people to stand up for their beliefs.
I thank you. And I also want to give another thank you to every other person that feels like you do, because we're dealt a bad hand. But you trying to advocate for us deals you a bad hand as well.
Yeah.
So the messed up part is you're trying to help out, right? But somebody going through the struggle could then target you because you're trying to help out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very stupid. So people with very small minds could see this as, oh, so you going from your white supremacy, you're just looking down on us trying to finally give me a voice on something. Okay, what's your angle? That can happen.
Sure.
And it's not fair because it's biting the hand that's trying to feed. That's a bad euphemism, but it's literally.
We could go.
It's literally slapping a helping hand.
Yeah,
Let's say it like that.
Yeah. So the question I ask myself is, could I ever look, and I don't, so I've pretty much come down to why I always use a child is because children are so innocent. Like by the time they start, adults and teenagers start making choices, they can be judged based on the choices that they make. But a child, when they enter this world, is pure innocence. Okay, so could I ever look at a child in the eyes and make decisions? No, I couldn't. So if there's somebody that can come out and say that, they're gonna start judging it and moving children, and I know there have been people do that, but that's where my narrative goes, is when people ask or kind of starts talking like what you're saying now is well, you're getting involved, you're here and you're doing the white savior move or whatever you want to call it. No, my mind automatically goes, no, this is why I'm going to still do what we're doing, is because there's no way on earth will I ever be able to look at, frankly, just another human being in the eyes and say that I'm better than them, period.
So. It's bad, man, and there's no answers. There's no answer. Yeah. I also put this out there, and I addressed it specifically to non-minorities. I actually said, okay, white people, said, what age is my son a thug? Just let me know so I can mentally prepare him for this. Crickets. I also posted a picture of him. He was cute.
Look, you're not asking the right white people then, apparently, if you got crickets, because there are some out there who are very vocal that will tell you when he would be considered a thug.
Maybe I have a very small sample size, just like Republican Democratic stuff. You take a small sample size and you present they're going to give you an answer or not. Well, because I'm not the Donald Trump, I don't have millions and millions of people that are on Twitter that can give me an answer and hate me real time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's a charged question.
What a powerful question, though.
It's a charged question that at some point, so a black person dies, the media immediately does a deep dive to discredit his death by saying he was gang related. He had a series of parking tickets in San Francisco. He got shot in his car in front of his child.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he was gang affiliated, and he also, George Floyd, he tested positive coronavirus. So his knee on his neck, what had nothing to do with the fact that he was going to die.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And while we're on this, evidently the coronavirus is not a thing anymore, because I haven't heard a thing about the coronavirus, and everybody's protesting right next to each other.
Look, man, now we're gonna get into something deeper.
No, I'm gonna throw this out there because this is how the media works. They misdirect and then focus you. We were supposed to die for the last 5 years of a disease. What happened to the Ebola? What happened to the swine flu? Coronavirus is this year?
West Nile.
It's all a misdirection. It's all a misdirection. So I don't know what to trust. And because media benefits off of conflict, all you see is conflict on here and sex. That's pretty much it.
See, I think
that's what you see.
This is one small little thing for me, and this isn't the fix-all, but I think if we were going to protest something as well as a mass group of people, would be protesting the media and social media in one big swoop and see how much narratives can change that way when we're not being fed crap. And I'll say this, the philosopher John Mayer wrote about this, it's easy to manipulate the news when you own it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm with you that I think
you just called John Mayer a philosopher.
I mean,
you're not gonna breeze past that. Like philosopher, Aristotle, Socrates, John Mayer, Rushmore. Really?
And some trailer parks, okay? So Anyway, I heard about it with some Raiders fans. Anyway, I just think if we were gonna protest, I think if we got rid of all of that crap, I think you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter what party you're affiliated with. Everybody feeds off of chaos because then they can come in and say, hey, we're the party that's going to bring about the right solution. When really, you haven't. I don't care who you vote for. The same crap is happening year after year after year, and it just it's old.
So literally, anytime there's a changing of the guard, that's what I'm going to call presidency. Anytime there's a changing of the guard, quote unquote, the new person that comes in office usually tries to repeal everything that the previous president did.
Yeah.
Which is literally what Trump did for the first 6 months of what he was doing. He's like literally undoing everything. Only thing that I'm gonna give you okay. I'm sorry that I'm extending this. What aggravates me is there's money for Donald Trump to send signed letters to every citizen after giving them $1,200, but there's not more money to put into the educational system. Did you get a letter from Donald Trump?
No, but I did write him one saying that I think he should create a task force like he did for coronavirus to help fight racial issues, and it should be led by leaders in the community that's being oppressed. So I did do that much, but I didn't get a letter from Trump.
I got a letter in the mail, signed from Donald Trump. You know how much money a letter costs? Envelope, paper, ink, stamp. Probably 70 cents.
Well,
you know how many people are in America?
The people that actually had to type that, print that, fold that, stamp it, and mail it out.
Deliver it.
Yeah.
Wow. Millions of dollars could have went to education, but no. You have to let everyone know that Donald Trump approved this. I'm surprised that he hasn't taken over Obamacare and named it Donald Care or something.
It's what they do.
Whatever.
Man.
That's
what they do.
That's a whole nother.
I know.
That's a whole nother charged issue. I'm more angry about that than this whole conversation revolving around Black Lives Matter. This whole subject. I'm charged about politics. I don't understand and I don't like it. Anyway, so we've talked, and I don't want to make this 2 hours. So
you've done well, my friend.
Yes, indeed. Anything else? Y'all need me still?
No, I think we're good. I appreciate you making yourself available, Alan. Thank you very much. Did you go to school in Tulsa?
No, I went to school in Lake Charles.
Okay.
I moved to Tulsa about 6 years ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm assuming McNeese. It was McNeese.
Yeah, it was McNeese.
Right on. Okay, man. Well, Alan, again, I appreciate it. Thank you for making stuff available. Thank you all the listeners for tuning in to the Mattcast. Matt, you have anything?
No, I'm just excited for the next one. And yeah, thanks again, Alan, for doing what you're doing. And check out his YouTube channel. Lots of good stuff on there. I mean, I taught him everything he knows, but he does really well with his reviews and his playing, drumming, bass playing, and it's good stuff. So check it out.
Matt, you are a phenomenal teacher. Thank you. You met Questlove. You learned specifically from him.
So you know,
I'm amazed at your talent. I am. I'm truly amazed at who you are as a person and what you're doing now, giving back to the community as you. Yes.
You the man.
The glue.
Elmer's baby.
Oh,
yep. All right, well, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on the Mattcast.